Hello, hello, hello! Welcome to Top Trek. Sound glitch already! Oh no!
Hello, hello,
That means the rest
hello.
is going to
Welcome
go
to Top Trek. Sound glitch already.
absolutely perfect. Wow, it's going smooth. I'm just going to mute. There we go. It's working now, I think. Wow, is this working? I can hear myself. That's not great. Audio monitor. Here we go. Why can I hear myself? I don't understand. I'm very confused. This is not working well for me. Oh, I have the live stream open. That's a bad start. There we go. That's why I can hear myself because I'm also watching myself. That's not a good start. Well, we would start this again, but let's not. Hello everyone. Welcome to Top Treks. I'm Jamie Gallagher, and every week I invite someone to come along and discuss something about Star Trek. I get them to count down their top 5 favorite Star Trek things. They get to pick the category, and we get to have a good old chat about Star Trek. This week, the last one of 2020, I'll tell you more about the plans at the end. But for the last one of 2020, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to bring the first ones back again? So we're going to hear from Dan and Chris again, and this time we're going to delve into their other topic. So when we first saw Dan and Chris, they were discussing the top 5 queer moments of Star Trek. But we're leaving that behind tonight, or are we? As we delve into another passion of theirs, foodstuffs. So at first it might seem like an odd connection, like Star Trek and food, but actually there's a lot of foodie moments. Like food is at the center of Star Trek. Oddly enough, like toilets, not like some needs are kind of mentioned and justified, but like toilets, there's no toilets on the spaceship. Well, actually, there are. If you look at the plans, there's a little one just off the bridge, but it's just not mentioned. But when you're needing a snack or a drink, it's available. And all those kind of 10 forward moments, the cafeteria moments, some are really important. And we're going to be delving through the top 5 kind of foodie moments in Star Trek. So let's get started and let's welcome back to the virtual stage, to my little holodeck in the sky, Dan and Chris. Hello!
Ooh.
Welcome
Hello.
back.
It's good to be back.
And beautifully dressed. Everyone comes to these better dressed than I do, which is such a shame. So tell us, just first of all, who you are and what you're wearing tonight. Dan, why don't you kick us off?
Well, I'm Dan Vo, and I am part of a group that watches Voyager. We've been watching Voyager over lockdown, and we probably will resume it again because we actually got through the whole thing in lockdown 1. But what I'm wearing at the moment is I got the wrong memo, so I'm actually in a different franchise Christmas jumper. So I'm trying to live up the spirit of ugly Christmas jumpers.
We adore all geek franchises here. And Chris, fabulously dressed Chris, tell us who you are and what you're wearing tonight.
Who am I? I'm Chris Ince. Dan, we've been watching kind of Voyager together online, kind of all the way through. And we're going to kind of pick that up in a little bit. And this is a bit new. Technically, it's actually not out yet in this country. January is when Lower Decks is available on Amazon. So I've slightly jumped the gun.
But I didn't know there was a release date. Have either of you seen Lower Decks?
No, because that would be illegal, Jamie.
Very much would be. I genuinely haven't. I'm lucky when I'm up to date in Disco. And are you up to date in Disco?
I haven't seen last week's.
Where are you, Dan?
Terrible. Well, if there was like some major food moment, if they like have a food fight in the alternate universe, Giorgio takes them all down with a plate of spaghetti or something.
Well, there's some mentions of food. There is. Someone is banned from the cafeteria. That's not a spoiler. That's the tiniest of little moments. And there's some food-centric plot lines going on in the latest Discovery episode. I quite liked it. And like the most amazing callback ever, which I didn't see coming in a million years, but I won't spoil it for you. Food. What? First of all, so Chris and Dan, why food and Star Trek?
Oh, this was kind of my just random kind of excitement. And when we started thinking about kind of topics, one of them was just, I was like that. I think I would watch something, and it was just, there was a cake. There's a particular moment where we'll come on to cake, but I'm obsessed with cake. Cake, desserts, food. It's my favorite, one of my favorite things after Star Trek. And when I was thinking about stuff, I was like, there is so much food in Star Trek. You don't think about it. You said at the beginning kind of about kind of the things that are there and are not. It was like, I mean, like Christmas is like, you just go like, oh no, they don't really kind of mention stuff. But when you actually kind of look for it, it is constantly there in all sorts of different ways. I thought that was interesting.
And we're getting some guesses coming in the chat box, I guess. Josh is saying a cellular peptide cake. Are we going to mention it? Are we not? I mean, we're obviously going to mention that because we can't not. Spoilers ahead. But if you're watching at home, which lots of you are, which is lovely, hello, welcome back, everyone, to my little virtual living room. Have a guess. What are Dan and Chris going to pick as we go through top 5 foodie moments in Star Trek? What do you expect to come up? I always try and I look at the list and try and work out, could I guess that? Could I not? And as you said, there's like so many beautiful little foodie moments. I don't think I'd have guessed the half of them. So let's get started. I think, Dan, you're going to mention the first one. Where are we starting our Star Trek journey in terms of food?
We're going to start with the original series. So it's TOS. And if you paid attention in TOS, there's probably plates of very brightly colored cubes in different shots. And so for me, that was very much the first experience I had with Trek food, because it was kind of the first series that I watched of Star Trek. So it was just very confusing for me, because it just was there, and there was no explanation as to why we're eating like blue, red, and yellow cubes in the future. Do they have like a specific like protein or a specific vitamin or mineral? Kind of like, was there a specific reason why there were certain colors? And if you ate certain colors, did it turn you into a different color, for example? I think the clip that we've got, I kind of wonder about the guests who've gone to this conference to pick up some of the things. And that's the other thing as well. It's like if it's conference food, is it like the marker of it being really good food? Is it a really good conference, or is it just one of those like, little indie conferences that you've been to? And so is it actually not the best kind of food? So that's what I've decided to pick. It's effectively Play-Doh food.
Let's have a look.
The Interplanetary Conference will consider the petition of the Corridon planets to be admitted to the Federation. The Corridon system has been claimed by some of the races now aboard our ship as delegates, races who have strong personal reasons for keeping Corridon out of the Federation. The most pressing problem aboard the Enterprise is to make sure that open warfare does not break out among the delegates before the conference begins.
Mr. Ambassador, I understand you had retired before this conference was called.
What I love is, I didn't realize until I was kind of looking for the clip again, they really put it front and center. They are really proud of their little Play-Doh cubes. Do we know anything more about how that came about?
Yeah, in the script, in the kind of when they referenced kind of having these sorts of food scenes and wanting to do stuff, there was a very particular property master for the show that they always went for. They kind of refer to the script as hors d'oeuvre Feinberg for Irving Feinberg, and kind of he was just kind of tasked with creating some bonkers things. But they are slightly different. I've seen somewhere someone kind of suggest that they're supposed to be Andorian, kind of in origin, but in reality, most of them, like Dan said, are Play-Doh. But if they eat them, like an actor is shown biting into them, they're made of soy that's been coloured. But the ones in the drinks, because they float, they're marshmallows that have been coloured in food gel. So they are sort of edible and kind of proteiny if it's actual food, but probably quite gross.
I like this. A lot you miss these little things when you watch it until you kind of think about them, and you realize actually it's been someone's job to design that, to think about it, to think about the food safety and hygiene. Maybe not in the 60s, but certainly now, how that's going to play out.
Yeah, there's loads of kind of future food. What do they use to kind of recreate things that you don't think? I almost picked it. Kanar in DS9, which changes from being kind of green to this dark kind of browny treacly thing, is corn syrup in the US. So it's just a sugar syrup. But apparently the guy who plays Demarc, was just, because he's shown to be an alcoholic, he necks the stuff like mad throughout so many scenes that they started trying to substitute it out from him because they were worried as to how much of the stuff he was drinking. But that was just kind of what they used at the time to kind of fake it.
Corn syrup. Wow, that is dedication. Like I imagine, like a little sip is probably quite nice, but downing it, yeah. There we go. Brilliant. So that's our first like foodie moment is the original series, and I'm right. They got little kind of colored cubes from their little replicator storage. Is it replicators in the original series, or is it like a food dispenser?
Is it food? Yeah, it's like food slots and food dispensers rather than replicators.
And I think my only foodie facts for the original series is almost not related to food, and it's Dr. McCoy's medical instruments. Because when they were filming, they thought, well, they need these futuristic implements. What are they going to look like? And they sent like a showrunner out to try and find something that's going to look like a future medical scanner. And eventually, they went into somewhere like IKEA and got salt shakers. And so Dr. McCoy's original medical instruments were apparently really futuristic, weird 60s salt shakers.
That's a very clever addition. I like that.
So watch out for that. Brilliant. Our first choice done. We're going to move forward in time a little bit. Where are we going next on our foodie journey of Trek?
We're going to Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? The many dinner parties of Star Trek. From there's an episode where Kern comes and they've got turkey and they're cutting it. There's Cisco in his quarters, kind of feeding everyone kind of Creole food. There's Picard and Beverly's breakfasts. But we went for the Undiscovered Country and the Calamitous Dinner.
I offer a toast. The undiscovered country.
I love it. It's so awkward. It's so tense.
Isn't it? I love it. I mean, I think it's probably more noticeable there. I was going to say about kind of that scene. I had a look at it. It's 23 lines. Kind of like, that's it, the whole scene. But it's brilliant when it kind of plays out. I think because there's so much silence at the beginning, maybe you go like, oh yeah, that definitely was just 23. But it's so great. I think that's where that film gets so much of its kind of quality from. So much of, I mean, I was going to say Shakespearean kind of moments, but, you know, that scene has got actual Shakespeare in it. But I just think it's great. Also, blue food. It's like on the plates, like all the way down the table, just like blue, whatever that is. I have no idea. It looks like lobster gone wrong. Gross.
And of course, their drinks, like we can't not mention that. The good old kind of. I mean, do you think this is my question? Like Romulan ale is bandied about a lot, and sometimes it's seen as this kind of, you know, it's seen as this illicit, illegal thing. But then, you know, I think at the dinner table they did actually mention that is Romulan ale, so they're just breaking the law there. Am I right? Mm-hmm. But there's other times, like they're always drinking blue things in Star Trek, and I wonder, is it Romulan ale? Is it not?
Yeah, I think there are some. So there's another blue drink. I think, again, there's an Andorian drink, and I think there's a kind of whiskey that is also blue. And so sometimes they get kind of name checks and you kind of assume it's one thing. But in some, and also being Romulan ale, you would expect it to have a degree of carbonation of some kind. And yet in other times it's poured, like, well, if that was an actual ale, they wouldn't be serving it like during this like dinner. So I always thought it was some kind of just blue wine or some kind of thing, but it's cool. It's just all sorts of names, no consistency whatsoever.
And we're joining them tonight as well, aren't we? We can't really see mine because of my green screen, but there we go. We've got all the different versions of Romulan ale, from its palest to its darkest with Dan. So cheers.
That's right. Cheers.
Oh, that's pretty horrible.
Yeah, I just made my own.
Tastes great on its own.
So there's our second moment. We're starting off in the original series with the Play-Doh color food cubes that had various consistencies over the years. Then into the kind of just the importance of the dinner parties, and that particularly cringeworthy but beautiful dinner party with them both lining opposite ends of the table. Where are we going to go next on our food journey?
Well, we're going to join the TNG team now. And of course, for me, this scene was iconic because I was suppressing giggles the whole way through when I was first watching it. It is, of course, we know that Troy has this wonderful relationship with chocolate. It's something that's established and then carries on through. But there's this, in this particular scene, it's also Troy joined by Riker, and the way that they play the scene as well, the magic between those two is just wonderful in this. And there's a particular eyebrow raise from Riker when Troy starts to describe the way in which he eats this particular treat, which I love. And for me, the reason why I had to stifle the giggle, it was just the way that she says, spoon the fudge around the rim. It's just a rather remarkable way of describing her food. And then, of course, understanding that it's, you know, this whole ritual, the way that she enjoys it. It's a really wonderful way to think about food.
Let's have a look at it, and then we'll discuss it a little bit more. The odd relationship between Troy and chocolate.
Doesn't it taste good?
Of course it does, but it's not just a matter of taste. It's the whole experience. First of all, you have to spoon the fudge around the rim, leaving only the ice cream in the middle. Then you gently spoon the ice cream around the sides, like you're sculpting it. Relish every bite. Make every one an event. And then, with the last spoonful, close your eyes.
Oh,
What can you even say? I'm fascinated as to how that scene came about, because this is the episode The Game, where they all get addicted to the game in their eyes. Where did that come from?
I think it's just absolutely magical. I mean, this is the thing about the way that I think it was established early on that they were in a relationship, but it could have been something that was forgotten. But the way the two actors actually play the two characters, it's just really wonderful how they hold on to this amazing relationship. And imagine being with your ex like that and being able to like have that kind of amazing energy, but also in this case, I think I just love the way that it's for her. It's about that whole experience, and you just really drawn into it. And it's a bit like watching Nigella cook, isn't it? It's just the way that she describes it. It's those words and the accent and the voice, and it
was totally Nigella vibes that I was getting. And there's another Nigella tie-in as well. Chris, was it you that mentioned it when we were discussing this?
Oh yeah, in the latest Nigella series, which actually is on right now on BBC Two. She's cooking
with us.
I mean, definitely on us, but knew what we do. She's making a type of thing. She uses kind of banana skins and shreds them. Refers to it being a Klingon delicacy, and then has to explain to the BBC Two viewer that what gach is. Yeah, I always think it's kind of it's like when Harry met Sally, the kind of like the deli scene that was survived there, but kind of it's like it's very much that sort of a look what I've replaced you with chocolate, 17 kinds of chocolate.
It is. I feel that there must be a story behind that scene as well. Like the one where they're Beverly and Troy are stretching in the gym, and that was kind of supposedly a punishment for their misbehavior on set. I feel there has to be a story. Otherwise, they just needed some kind of. I mean, it's a good scene. I'm liking it, but in terms of plot line, doesn't really fit with the rest of the show, does it?
Yeah, there are a couple of times where that happens, where there's a completely disconnected scene, and I think it does happen quite a bit with generally kind of like either Troy or Beverly, this kind of just light comedic moment to throw in. I'm almost positive I read something about that scene where it was they wanted to do something like that, but just needed an episode to slot it into. And they go, well, you know, there are some that run a little short, and so they go, well, we'll use that one to kind of go.
We had
Right,
Andrew Holding. Oh, sorry, Dan.
I was going to say, there's a scriptwriter they actually used to bring on to write those little extra bits that he was just brilliant at writing them. And it didn't add much to the story, but it added so much about the character, and it developed the character in a way that was really rather special. And so I think it is those little moments. It's when they have that, the extra 2-3 minutes spare, where they just drop in a little piece that just gives you an entire, you get a full sense of the person, which I rather like.
Yeah, because then they also take elements from that. Now, in developing that for one of their characters, they then do get to put it in more integral places in an episode. A few episodes later is where they have our 3 ambassadors kind of come and visit, and they all have different kind of personality archetypes. And the one who's paired with Troy is then obsessed with dessert, and it almost breaks her. And you kind of go, well, they wouldn't have done that, and couldn't have done that, unless they had made time and effort to build something a little bit gentle and random into it.
That's what I love about Star Trek. We had Anne telling us about the story arcs of the Star Trek universe, and there's so many of them. We have all these callbacks time and time again. Troy's love affair with chocolate. So that's us had 3 of our choices now. We've got the Play-Doh food from TNG original series, then we move through to the epic dinner party of the Undiscovered Country, and then we're into Troy's love affair with chocolate. So what is your next top foodie moment in Star Trek?
Cake. Cake is eternal. There is just I was trying to kind of go through and list all of the kind of times that various forms of cake have cropped up, and it's quite a few in more episodes. I mean, there's one where it's actually used as the marker for Worf to know that he's slipped into a parallel universe, is the cake changes. It's it's not an integral part of the story, but vanilla. He's very American, so he doesn't call it vanilla cake. It's yellow cake. Yellow isn't a flavor.
Not only is cake eternal, cake is a plot device, and it has iconic roles. I think when you mention Star Trek and cake, there is only one iconic, absolutely iconic cake. Tell us the cake that we need to mention tonight.
The cellular peptide cake with mint frosting.
Here we go.
Please, don't hurt me, Data.
I am sorry, Counselor.
No, don't. No, no, Data!
Terrifying scene, but I love it. I love it so much.
I mean, it raises kind of ontological questions about don't hurt me by being cut into as a piece of cake. She's already got no legs. I find I have questions about the logic of that. It is iconic. I do think it's quite special. I remember it from being a kid, watching that episode, just be like, oh, look at that frosting. However, I must confess, I cannot think of actually a worse example of a type of cake in the whole of Star Trek, because it's a completely plain cake with just kind of mint frosting, which I don't particularly like anyway, but who has really mint on a cake and in the kind of that color, and it's one layer, it's a sheet cake. It's like there's nothing interesting about it. It's entirely in the kind of, but
with
Marina
so much
Sirtis
tech, Troy deserved better.
I mean, I'm sold. We can park that to Troy.
And I need to tell you my favourite bit about this cake, though. It's nothing even to do with the episode. Is that people time and time again have recreated the Troy cake, and honestly, it brings me so much joy to just Google Troy cake and see people's, and honestly, terrible recreations of the moment. But somehow I love them even more because they're awful. With a little cutout of Marina Sirtis' face stuck on the kind of torso cake. It's a beautiful sight to behold.
Well, Chris was
I like what Worf has a particular. He tells Data what the frosting is, going with the frosting, like that, with his mouth full of the cake because there's a piece on the other side, so he's already kind of taken a slice. It's a very good scene.
And would you have a slice of Troy cake?
I mean, I might verbally bash it, but I'm still gonna eat it. It's still a piece of cake.
Dan, piece of Troy cake for you?
Well, I was expecting Chris to actually bake us a Troy cake tonight, so I thought we'd all be able to have a piece.
I think that's a good
yeah,
challenge.
so
There you go, Chris. We're
I
expecting.
could try. I've made a TARDIS before, and possibly the campus moment of my entire life was a Cinderella cake, where I had to strip a Barbie doll naked, plaster it with apricot jam, and like thrust it into the middle of a cake. And I had an elaborately kind of plaited bodice out of icing to kind of wrap around for a friend at university. That was a very odd day.
Well, I think you can nail a
a
Troy cake. Whether it'll be mint or not, I mean, you can decide. You can investigate. Is it possible? I mean, I'm skeptical, but you can have a go.
Yeah, not if I'm making it. We'll make something else.
And so that brings us to our final Trek choice. Can you just count us down the top 4 so far?
So first was Chris.
The first was you, Dan. The first
was Play-Doh food.
The Play-Doh food. The dinner party on the Enterprise in the undiscovered country.
It was spooning chocolate round a rim.
And then there were some of the examples of cake, but particularly the Troy cake.
Which brings us to the most iconic food stuff or foodie moment in Trek. I'm just going to say this one needs no introduction, so let's just jump right in with the clip.
Tea Earl Grey hot. Tea Earl Grey hot. Earl Grey. Tea Earl Grey hot.
Tea Earl Grey, perhaps.
Tea Earl Grey hot.
Tea Earl Grey hot. Tea Earl Grey hot. Tea Earl Grey hot. Tea Earl Grey hot. Would you like some tea?
No.
Well done.
I love it.
I love
Very excellent.
Mini Picard is adorable.
I love it.
Yeah.
Time and time again. So many times he orders that. And I love that the drink choice has become iconic as well. And times when he doesn't. Then when he doesn't order Earl Grey, it's kind of it's a plot device as well. It's really significant. Like when Beverly prescribes him that cup of warm milk. Although he doesn't always drink tea as well because he likes coffee and croissant in the morning. Iconic.
Yeah, the new tea blend that Neela Darren tries to get him on. She programs some new ones into it and kind of makes him promise he'll try some. But yeah, I think you're right. It's it was I started with because we were coming up with themes, and one of them was kind of things from now that they still have in the future. And I was kind of going through, and despite being so iconic, it only occurred to me kind of this morning. I was like, we can't not have Earl Grey. It's absolutely quintessential. But yeah, I think what's also interesting is, particularly when you stacked all of those clips, is the number of times his teapot changes. He has got tons of teapots. I saw like a profile on the internet of someone who'd gone through and looked up kind of different designs and kind of the aesthetics of them. There's like 12. Like it's ridiculous. Every single time. Well, almost there's like 2 where it's the same teapot. It's
really geeky. I feel I've got like a favorite Captain Picard teapot, and it's the one where the mugs like fit into it.
Yes, that's my favorite too. I love it.
Dan, favorite Picard teapot. Getting his niche.
I can tell you that's a Senga porcelain teapot. So like there it is. Oh my goodness. You can buy it thousands of pounds. It's ridiculous.
Wow. That was not prepared. So well done, Chris. I've got to make a self-correction. I said spooning chocolate around a rim. That's not funny. It's spooning fudge. It's the fact that it's fudge. It was fudge. And Riker says he doesn't like fudging. So, you know, it just adds to the hilarity. Joshua says, I love that teapot. And Elaine earlier also said that he wants a piece of your Troy cake, Chris. So. And he knows exactly what pot. How did I miss this part? How do you all know about this one teapot?
Is it the one from? Is it the high ground? Is that what it's in? When they're having breakfast with Beverly? I can't remember when. I just remember really. I can picture it vividly. Someone must know in the chat. Although we're kind of like we need to go soon, but someone in the chat tell us what episode is the iconic teapot featured in. I think it's the high ground. Oh, and Andrew, yeah, top 5 Trek teapots. That is a show that needs to happen.
That was going to be.
It wasn't teapot. Chris will get you one of the teapots.
We can see, but yeah, amazing Earl Grey tea. It was the first kind of tea when I moved away from home, and I was like, I'm going to go buy some tea. So I came to London. I went to Harrods. I bought a caddy of Earl Grey tea, and it's entirely because of Star Trek.
Oh, love it. Well, I don't like hot drinks, so I'm going to stick with my Romulan ale.
All right. Season's greetings, everybody. I think that's the. Thank you very much. It's
cheers.
Wonderful.
First and last on the top Trek lineup. So thank you so much for joining me again. Sorry for a little tech glitch in the middle. But thank you for getting us through the top 5 food choices in Star Trek. From Play-Doh in the original series, the iconic dinner party scenes, Troy and her love affair with chocolate, through into cake and its iconic plot moments, and then finishing up with a nice cup of hot Earl Grey tea. Dan and Chris, thank you very much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. And I want to say a massive thank you to all of you who have joined me every single week and who have been on the show as well. Andy and Alan and other Andy and Chris and Dan and Alfredo. And there's more to come as well. So what is the future of Top Treks? Well, we've had a little run of series. We're now going to pause and I'll be doing some other types of streaming. But Top Trek is going to come back as well. So in 2021, we'll be looking for new speakers and new topics. And I look forward to exploring the Star Trek universe with you in the new year. But from me, thank you very much for joining in. Thank you to all my guests for giving up their time and their ideas and their energy and just joining me to talk about Star Trek, which I always love. I hope you have a fantastic time over the holidays, and I will see you again in 2021. But from Top Treks, Jamie Gallagher signing out. Bye-bye.